switching off the mind.
Yeah, the mind from this, like no external stimuli, I will say, and then it goes to the deepest layer of its own, where it is most tranquil.
Do I need to be religious to meditate?
No. Religious means what? If you are thinking about the outer paraphernalia, not required. Peace, love, joy, freedom, and there are other friendliness, compassion. These are the qualities of the spirit.
Opposite of the solution that can end loneliness, because the natural solution the mind suggests most of the time is go out and mingle, talk to people, socialize. How does that work?
Beautiful. I will just explain. But the core of our own consciousness, our own mind is pure joy, pure love, peace.
So what is samadhi?
Samadhi, where buddhi is, even if we are sitting quietly, and I have watched you, but it is actually working on the stimulus.
Agitation and restlessness can be fought with meditation because it takes away the turbulence of the mind.
It is not to be fought with. You can just go beyond these disturbances, and that is what meditation does.
Have you wondered why meditation is such a buzz in every other neighborhood nowadays? Is it because you can just close your eyes and sit down and relax and go to sleep? Is that what all the people who are meditating are doing? Of course not, right? There are heaps and heaps of studies from Stanford, Harvard. If you're someone who's from the spiritual path, if you're someone who's seeking love, peace, and happiness in your life, and who wants to know what meditation is, this podcast is the answer to all those questions. Meditation is the journey to the deepest rest possible in a human life. I meditate seeking serenity's grace, offering peace to the mind's race, the rat race. What arrives in meditation's might unveils truth's treasure so bright. Nirala, who was a poet, a prominent figure in Hindi literature, and a leading man of his era, from the Chayavad literary movement, quoted these words. And it's so true, right? Today on our podcast, we have a guest who's going to give out all the answers that you've been looking for. My name is Bharat Nair. I'm a podcaster, entrepreneur, and a meditator, and a writer. And I belong to you as your host on Antaraag, a podcast that brings you one step closer to your inner child and reminds you that trust isn't the problem, but it's a solution to all your problems. Well, on today's podcast of Antaraag, we have Sangeeta Ratna, somebody who's an international meditation teacher for the last 2 decades. She has traveled across the globe and taught meditation. Under the guidance of Gurudev Sri C. Ravi Shankar from the Art of Living, she's been conducting advanced meditation sessions across the globe. Sangeeta Ratna ji has conducted hundreds of advanced meditation sessions in a lifetime. She's a wisdom pot you might have been seeking out for. If you've been finding yourself curious about existential questions lately. So listen in carefully and get all your questions answered. And if you have more questions, put them in the comments. This is Antaraag with Bharat Nair. Let's dive in. So there's a story of Abhinava Gupta from Kashmiri Shaivism. Beautiful, beautiful saint, enlightened being, master before Buddha. His story ends with him and 1,200 disciples entering a cave and disappearing. And it's still there, the Bhairava cave. And he was very different from most of the other saints that followed from Shaivism, Kashmiri Shaivism. Because he was against untouchability during the era of 700 to 1100 CE. He was against untouchability. He was against all the rigid systems that would hold people back from connecting them with themselves, and he was very logical, and he had a very human centric approach. It was not a religious approach, it was a human, that we are all human beings. Humanity was the main thing in his approach. And he also is credible because he made the whole angle of spirituality, the teachings, accessible to common man. So somewhere when I look at Art of Living, when I look at Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, I feel he's done the same thing.
Yes.
He's made it super accessible. Telling you from a very practical point of view, I meditate every day during the afternoon, around this time, in this same room. And it's become so accessible to me that I have the opportunity to just come out of my office, take 20 minutes, do my kriya, do my meditation, go back and have my lunch. So I did not have this access to meditation before in any other path, because I was there in a couple of other paths before coming down here. Now, this point of view of the spiritual upliftment as a mission and a goal in Middle East, and you were the first teacher from there in advance. What was the journey like?
Very much like you have already given me the point. When I did this course, I had, with quite dedication, I was following certain disciplines because all logical knowledge methods. But when I did the Art of Living course, when I first experienced the Kriya that you people are doing is the version 5 or version 6.
Oh.
It was such an ecstasy. All that I had read in any of the books by, be it Yogi, Yogananda, Vivekananda, Osho, anyone, anybody. This was like touching upon something that I just wanted to hold. My life stops there. It was okay because whole of life becomes worthless in comparison to that experience that we had. An overwhelming sense of love for 5 6 hours, like no, that I have, the heart has become an ocean, and I just was crying, and it was such sweet tears. End of the course, it was like no words, nothing. I had followed all of them with reverence and done everything with, whether it is Brahma Kumaris or whether it is like no, I, but nowhere that experience. And once you experience it, you need nothing. So when we went to Abu Dhabi and when we did the course, everybody, and I became the first teacher also, like in the whole, all almost 1 year, all the programs, people will go out of body and they will have this experience. And the first thing that comes is like, whatever Sangeeta ji, whatever you say, you would be the last person. Till the end of my life, I'll be remembering you because they associated this experience with this physical body where we had become an instrument of the Guru. So this happened to the extent we opened our doors, because in Middle East even 5 people's congregation inside the houses, if they suspect that it could be promoting some religious activity, you could have been, without any questions, would have been put behind the bars. And this was the law then. But normally they will not touch the people who are like no highly qualified and all those things. So we opened our doors and the courses started happening. Now my home was like the office, like no Art of Living center. And you won't believe, like no, all these Arabs started pouring in on Iranians, Iraqis, non-local Arabs mostly. I used to stay in a like no Abu Dhabi is full of multi-storied buildings. It was like 23-storied then, and in the entire building we had only 2 Indians and 1 Pakistani. Rest all were Arabs. And one day, only when after Rishi Nitya Pragya, like no, he said that if you have not doing satsang, then you're not doing completely the art of living. So, and my husband was an extremely good singer, and he will sing, and we will all like no, people will congregate, like no, I will love to cook all varieties of food, right from pizza, from this to that. So what happened is on the New Year day, my house could accommodate 200 people. Like no, was squeezing. They will sit and do the. but too much of joy, and they wanted to dance, and the door kept open, and 250 people came, and they didn't want to leave. I did not
Wow.
even know that on the eighth floor were the house of the CIDs there. So, what
Oh.
happened? We are totally engrossed, and then something happens, and we hear something in Arabic. And my next door neighbor, we hardly had this, like, no few interactions in the lift. And he stood like this, Wallah, Wallah, this, they are the best people in this building. You're not going to come here. And the whole of the building, every day all the satsang singing and everything is happening and it's reverberating in the whole but still people loved us so much, drawn by that energy.
And towards the end, you closed with, I think, lakhs of people, thousands of people.
Yes. And soon after that, Gurudev called, and I thought that my husband honestly spoke like, no, how we charge, how we do these things. And he said, एक ही बात याद रखना अवनीश, तुम्हें कुछ भी नहीं होगा. And we kept on asking those people to come and watch when before and after the practices. They vanished in the thin air. 3 months later, we had our office open. Of course, the sheikhs, the royal family members had done the course. We had done the courses for them. They will call us silently. We'll go to the palace and do courses for them. We're all educated people from Harvard, from other places, but they will not disclose it. So we had our office opened in the most posh locality of Abu Dhabi. It's on Corniche on the sea beach, and so this is the power of what master is capable of. And lots of Arabs. When we had in the Emirates Palace the program that we had invited all the Arabs. It was sponsored by the president's hotel also.
Do I need to be religious to meditate?
No. Religious means what? If you are thinking about the outer paraphernalia,
Hmm.
not required. Not required. Sometimes there are certain things from outside may trigger that kind of a piece.
Hmm.
But what you think is religious, especially in this kind of a system like now, the Vedantic system, this religion of all this, most of the Sanatan or these people have come first from experience. It was given to people out of their compassion and love, but it was basically received in their pure consciousness. So that is why certain mantras, that is why certain structures, the people who could see that this kind of a place will be um, building up that positive energy in you. So that is why those people who started, it came from the self. Later on, people who started following have not got the link of why it is being done, but they do experience certain things with certain, like if you have fresh bath and then you sit, definitely you have more of the prana, more of energy. So it's all imbibed in religions, certain religions, which were originally, all the religions have started with the enlightened beings.
So, someone asked me before the podcast that Bharat, meditation seems to be the opposite of loneliness. Uh, Opposite of the solution that can end loneliness. Because the natural solution the mind suggests most of the time is go out and mingle, talk to people, socialize. How does that work?
Beautiful. I will just explain. But the core of our own consciousness, our own mind is pure joy, pure love, peace. And it is not, if since you have experienced, you must be knowing there are processes where we do this eye gazing and all these processes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, the so much love bubbles up from your system. So what we thought, like, no, because of this person I'm experiencing love,
Yeah.
or because of this I'm getting joy, they are only the triggers. People are only the triggers. The joy, the love, the peace resides deep within you, and meditation is a way to do that. That is what is called ananda. They would be, I just wanted to experience. There are meditations like, no, when there is nobody there, I just feel like dancing, being alone. And in that joy, you don't need anyone. When you have to share something, when you are in sorrow, rather, you want to share. Of course, you are out of joy, also, you share things. So, but you're no more dependent. Then, loneliness and being in what do you call it, like, no, solitude are two different things, and you enjoy both.
So, loneliness is not the absence of company, but it is the absence of love.
Loneliness, in loneliness, you have a need for somebody, and without that, you're not feeling complete.
And the need ends when you have love
So,
in your
what
life.
happens? Meditation makes you feel very complete, fulfilled, full, so full. Now, this is overwhelming joy. And now, see, even out of joy, you want to share it with people. But this is a different kind of sharing. Like, suppose I have seen a very natural tendency of a human. I've watched a very good movie, says Sam Bahadur, I saw, and then what I want to say is like, please, Bharat, you should also go and watch. So
Yeah.
it's nature that anything out of joy also, sharing is our nature. So I will need a company, but there I am not dependent on you. When I'm telling you to go and watch the movie, I'm not seeking anything from you. Rather, I'm sharing my joy with you. So I'm not feeling lonely. Do you
Yeah, I am
understand that?
coming from a space of giving.
Yeah.
Right.
So when you are coming from the space of joy, you don't feel the scarcity. Like, no, you don't miss things, but sharing is our nature. It's the nature of the soul.
You spoke about how yoga and meditation brings ultimate comfort. Now, this question is going out to every single person who's a perfectionist and someone who's seeking a lot of comfort in life. These two kinds of people I have in my friend circle. So, people are, as we spoke about earlier, are conditioned to think in a particular way. That Bharat, I don't know meditation, but I want a secure life. I want financial stability. I need this much bank balance by this age. I need to retire early and I need to have a happy life. And the question is, and what will that get you? It will get me comfort. I'll live a comfortable and happy life. Right? Even though I'm straining those 10 years towards the goal, but I'm eventually have a comfortable life. And this is practically the thought out there. Most people have this thought. Also, the other side of the spectrum are people who are looking for experiences. So there is now a lot of mainstream drugs coming out, or people are this drug problem is increasing, and now recently I heard it was increasing in Kerala. That's again a different kind of inclination to go towards experiences, to go towards that. So what is your angle here when you say that yoga and meditation is the ultimate comfort?
I think they have to experience it. Before we came to Art of Living, and my husband, we used to feel that we are very so worldly wise and whole family of achievers. Even now, there are so many people in my family who are achieving after coming to Gurudev. It's not like you cannot have those. But if you have tasted that, once you have tasted the real peace, the real joy, on one side is all this, and it is required for your day to day existence, efficiency. Like this machine was required, this microphone was required for me to share my thing. But is this going to give me the joy that I experience through that? It's a totally different kind of a joy. And most of the people who are questioning this have not tasted it. So they don't know. They do not know that there is a joy which is possible without what we are getting through the senses and what we are seeing and what we are believing. And this is the entire world for me. So nobody is to be blamed for that. But once you have tasted it, you will. Not so many people in Abu Dhabi, in Muscat, I know, I don't want to name the family, who owns almost half of the Muscat. When I went to take the course, it was in solid silver, everything pure. And six of the cooks will take the orders from me at house. They had four swimming pools in that country and so many, like, no, ships and other things, like, no. And This lady will not even dedicate, said, just let us have a meeting near the pool. And she will, like, no, all the teachers' meeting, she will not. And such people, once they tasted it, till the end, till now, they just follow Gurudev and follow him to anywhere. My own uncle-in-law, who happens to be the apex body in USA, was a multimillionaire. He used to have run this robotics company. He was a very rich in our family, very dedicated, but he used to meditate. And when I brought him to Gurudev, and he said that he might be a guru for my wife, but I will take 3, 4 more years to settle down and wind up all my businesses. And it was a huge business, very revered, like now amongst one of the Indians. And less than 1.5 years' time, he sold all his business and started organizing Gurudev's trip. From where? Nobody, like no, he was so, like no, solid worldly businessman, not like ordinary achievers. So I know many of them and I've stayed with them. Like no, we used to. That is why Gurudev will send us as a traveling teacher all over Middle East.
Switching off the mind.
Yeah, the mind from this, like no external stimuli, I will say, and then it goes to the deepest layer of its own, where it is most tranquil. I'll say the most effortless state of our mind or consciousness is what we attain through meditation. Meditation is a technique to take you there, and the state is called, in Sanskrit it's called samadhi, and it's the most equanimous state of the mind, where you feel something so wonderful, like the ultimate of whatever you wanted to have, like peace, joy, contentment, stillness, and that just that wow feeling comes, like no.
So, in your experience in on the path, have you had to deal with judging?
Yeah, you can't help it, I think. It is a process and it will go on its own way. All of us intellectuals and the people who have read so much, it is bound to happen, because with all the storage that we are building up, we are also creating a kind of an image about things, right? So, not knowing that actually it is so simple. And a person who is very foolish, who can't even talk, who can't even express, can be a totally an enlightened person. So, we can't understand till we ourselves reach that simplicity. So, it is that is what is the purpose. So, religion is the customs, and originally, though it started by the enlightened beings for you to give some experience, but because of lack of understanding, people are caught up in the process and have forgotten the actual connection with the self. So, religion to some extent, some practices to some extent, but know that it is only a trigger for you to connect with the divinity.
It's like you made the bed, you've got the bed sheets, you put the pillow, you've decorated the room, you switched off the lights, but you forgot to sleep.
Yes, very right.
So, ma'am, when it comes to samadhi, uh, I do experience thoughts as well. But do you want to talk about, the thoughts that occur in samadhi, and also what are the different stages in samadhi and what is samadhi?
So the thoughts, samadhi can be, there are many varieties of samadhi. It can be with thoughts, it may not be with thoughts. Now, thoughts, I will say that if you're not working on the thoughts, they just come and hover like a cloud and they go. It is possible that you have the thoughts, and it will still not disturb your peaceful state. So it's not like there has to be no thought. But these thoughts normally are not the linked thoughts. When the thoughts get linked, suppose You were in meditative state, and all of a sudden, you think that you're hungry, and then you have started. Oh, 15 minutes. What shall I cook? Do I have that in the fridge or not? So what is happening is your mind has got attached to the thought, and now it is working. It is no more in that effortless state. Meditation is the state of no effort whatsoever, whether in mind or in the body. So, as long as the thoughts are not linked and you are not trapped by those thoughts, you are just a witness to those thoughts, it's fine. Same way, emotions may come and they may disappear, it's fine. But you have got entangled in them, then it's not meditation. They are getting pulled out of meditation.
Al- Also, awareness is generally in our culture referred to as fire, right? The fire of awareness that burns everything. So, is that also what happens in the samadhi state? That the awareness
Defin-
so high it burns all the thoughts and emotions?
yeah, it is a way to it is a way to express that reality.
So, what is samadhi?
Samadhi, some where buddhi is, even if we are sitting quietly, and I have watched you, but it is actually working on the stimulus. It is always trying to find, gauge, interpret. So this is happening, and this causes us, like, no, there's duality in the mind through perception, likes or dislikes. Intellect says right or wrong. Memory says it has received on the past, and it, on the basis of the past, it projects on future. Ego, I'm superior or inferior. So there's always two existing in this realm of the mind. So this kind of I will say that there is a it's torn apart between these two poles, sometimes swinging on the left, sometimes swinging on the right. So it doesn't allow the mind to be still. So when you are in samadhi, you're almost in the center point where the perception, likes, dislikes have dissolved, rights and wrongs have dissolved.
You're not happy, you're not
Past
sad.
is gone, future is gone, and then I'm superior, inferior is gone. It's all one. That oneness experience of oneness comes, and then it's all like an ocean of love, the peace, the joy.
Wow, I can feel it right now.
Yeah.
To be honest, the energy that you have is like waves. It's like hitting me. I am not able to like think more. I have to like.
It's not an area of thinking only,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Have you heard of Ghalib?
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So all these wise
Rumi,
people,
Ghalib.
yeah. So he used to say, like, no, उम्र भर गालिब बस एक ही गफलत करता रहा, धूल चेहरे पे थी, आईना साफ करता रहा.
Yeah, I've read that. It's beautiful. It
So
is.
it's exactly depicts. We think the problem is in the world. It is not there. It's in the mind. It's the turbulence which is happening inside me because of the impacts.
Agitation and restlessness can be fought with meditation because it takes away the turbulence of the mind.
It is not to be fought with. You can just go beyond these disturbances, and that is what meditation does. So it is like, I will say, our consciousness is very much like an ocean. On the surface are the waves, and that is what the mind, which perceives through the senses, the our perceptions through the senses are creating those waves inside us, likes, dislikes, rights, wrongs,
And it's
and
inevitable.
and
Thinking,
it is there.
feeling.
And what meditation does, it just doesn't fight or doesn't do anything to the waves. It just pulls you down to the depth of the ocean, where it is all streamlined, where it is smooth, where it is still. Peace, love, joy, freedom, and there are other, friendliness, compassion. These are the qualities of the spirit. And the moment you make a connection with deep down your own self, That is what. Then all these qualities surface.
Consciousness is the fourth dimension.
The fourth state.
You're also someone who's a post grad in physics. So how? So that was also one of the questions. How do you look at meditation from a scientific angle?
Yeah. So as an experience, you can never quantify things of love, peace, and joy from a scientific perspective. It's an experiential reality. But the results and what you achieve through the meditation as an as a result of meditation, all that can be quantified to some extent, not to the
Yeah,
perfection.
because
Like,
science uses reductionism. So is that why? Because reductionism takes everything and cuts it down. Okay, this is matter, this. But experience cannot be in reductionism.
see, this is what in Gurudev's words, like, no, uh, where science ends, where physics ends, metaphysics starts. So there is a limit to logic, experimentations, but the experiential reality is beyond that. How can you express love in scientific terms? Like, no, can you?
No.
You can just say that I feel happy, I feel relaxed, but there is no standard against which you can quantify because it's so different. It's so. So it cannot be meditation, or the experience of meditation cannot be quantified. But the results, that if you're especially looking at the yogi, you can make out like how they, like, you know, when once you look at Gurudev, then you know, like, know how he deals with thousands and thousands of people he's meeting, so many places he's going in a day, and still just that energy, that calm, the naturalness, and that 1 second he's meeting you and the next second there's another person standing. I've seen his mind, like, no, somebody had lost someone, and there are people who come for various reasons to see him, and he's so total. Everyone who meets him is meets his eyes, like, no, it seems like you have communicated everything completely to him. And why is it so? Because his mind is like the ocean, and which is in the present moment. And it feels like he is totally absorbed. You know, communication happens soul to soul. And then one day I was just like, no, walking with him, like, it's a typical example where you people are giving flowers, and also we carry a basket so that you can keep those letters, flowers, and other things. So that just for a normal person, the depth of the connection with her pain that happened. Next person is a teacher who has just become a teacher, and, like, no, and says, Guruji, I became a teacher, with that excitement. And what I could see, it did not take him a flash of a second to be total with her. Normally, for a normal human being, if you have gone through that pain, and then everyone feels that the I have communicated my deepest pain, I could share with him, which I could not share with anyone. So that depth, and then the next person
How do we
again.
drop that like that? How do you just drop it? Like it.
No, he doesn't drop or anything. His mind is, our mind has infinite capability to perceive things. That is the enlightened being.
What is peace? Peace is this state of samadhi.
Yes, but if we all have an inkling of peace. It's you. What you're saying is right. Knowingly or unknowingly, everyone in the world is seeking only these. What? Peace, love, and joy, and an everlasting peace. So I will, to the extent that even a terrorist, why does he want to kill a person? He's just like sees him as the source of all his turbulence. And when you reach that state of the mind where you just want to permanently kill the problems so that you can be at ease. But what people do not know, that it is not in the situations and people. It's something which resides within you. The peace joy, and love. They they only can be received through, give you some transient experiences you can get through achieving something or meeting somebody or something like that. But it is basically um, the language of your heart, and you have to reach there.
So, how did this journey start with the art of living? What happened? At what point did it just blow up in your life and you were like, okay, this is what I want to do?
So for me, as I told you, like no, we were very enthusiastic, very ambitious, normal youngsters, and achieved lots of things in Delhi, and then had gone, decided to go to Abu Dhabi. My husband was posted there. So, but before that, all this I had already done. I had told you, like no, there was a time when I was, I became very curious about what is this life like no. Like a normal ambitious person, we also wanted like all the comforts and luxuries of the life. We belong to very good families, so all that was there, but there was a vacuum.
Hmm, the longing.
Vacuum in the sense that the people you used to share your joy with, all those people are there. And the kind of democracy that we have, only when you go out of India you realize what you're missing. You cannot express yourself, your views, your political views on the roads or anywhere in anywhere, like no, openly.
Expressing opinions?
Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
So this is what is so difficult, right? So we were used to that kind of a freedom, and then I was started realizing that something I'm missing. What is it that I'm missing? We are having almost a party every moment. They had given us a very beautiful, luxurious pink color, and like everything done in pink and with the most beautiful flowers and all. So then I realized that something called prana, and this is first time. So I used to, after finishing all the work in my daughter's room, I'll go and there was it would be sunlight entering that door. And I, for no reason, I'll get drawn to that. I'll just go and sit in that place, and there would be some solace that I'll get. So I did not realize this. Later only I could feel that it was the prana that I was missing.
And for the listeners, prana is?
Prana is that life force energy inside you.
Hmm.
In the conditioned or the most unnatural environments, the prana is less, like no, compared to the seashore, the fresh air, fresh light, all those things like no sunlight, all these things enhance them. So whatever happened, like no, despite that only thing, and I had lost touch with all these spiritual people and all. So what happened is I still decided to sit morning and evening. They used to say Sandhikal, do the meditation. And I'll sit cross-legged without much of the, because I had learned, but I had dropped all that.
And you started with what meditation?
TM, Transcendental Meditation,
Transcendental. Okay.
which is very much like our Sahaj Samadhi.
Right, right.
So what happened is after a break of like few years, like no, and all of a sudden, I said, no matter whether I get any experience or not, I'll do that. And 4 months or 3 months passed, and then I couldn't imagine what started happening to me. And just like felt I saw my few lives. And such authentic was the experience. And then flash of light in my mind. And so in that half meditative experience, first time so what is this? Like no, maybe they are clouds, but I'm neither away nor like no totally into that meditative so I could experience little bit, but this logic comes after some time. But I am in Abu Dhabi. There are no rains here and no clouds here like no those days. Then I became more curious. Then I came to and then there was a very fast forward all these things. So I also developed health issues like no, I had a burst appendix, cancer of thyroid. They said suddenly also when I'm having very great experiences, the same time there was something happened. So maybe I needed a master, because when the energy rises up, like you need some kind of a support.
Guidance, yeah.
So I came and then I went back. My mother also, all these people were already on, so I learned Reiki. I did my 21 days of 21st day. Somebody calls and says there's a master, as somebody who's come from India, and he will be. I like to meet the Reiki master. By then, come within an hour's time, and we reached there. And I informed my friends and went there, and it was Rishi Nitya Pragya.
Mm.
And the moment he was such a, like, no, though he must be around 27 then, but he looked like a teenager, glowing. And without any communication, I knew that this is what I was waiting for. Entire Vivekananda series. So he said that your spine is actually the is Kundalini, what you call, is like an antenna. So when the Kundalini Shakti awakens, it's like your antenna is charged. Now, if you want, you can connect it to any station and you can get the information about this. And this is exactly what I've seen with Gurudev, like no. And I don't want to narrate, but then I know I've seen like no how he can know. Even looking at me, he can know what I did. Then there sometimes he will ask. So what happens is only this outer race in the world is keeping us away from that.
Mm.
I will give you a simple example. Suppose I don't know whether you're married or not. Like now,
No,
a
no,
young
no.
dad,
Right.
if you have a 10-year-old child and says, "Daddy, Daddy, take me to park," right? And it's Wednesday evening. You have come back from evening. He says, "No, I want to go to the park now." And what happens? You get upset. He say, "Can you just leave me alone?"
Mm. Mm.
Same dad on a Sunday morning, he had good night's sleep and everything rested. I says, "Daddy, Daddy, take me to park." Okay, which park? The words are the same, situation is the same, but your response to the world changes when you are relaxed. And the same world looks beautiful now. There's so much more in our inner state than on the environment.
Mm.
So, definitely, I will not say it is an evolution, but I would say that if you have a technique to reach the deeper, the quieter realm of your own consciousness, it's not like you have to be there. Even 20 minutes a day is more than enough for you to relish life. And you can sustain your energy, can interact with the people, and the same world starts looking more beautiful.
Right. This is the term for yogic consciousness. I think you
This is
mentioned.
all knowingness. It's
Yeah.
a possibility in our consciousness. So this coming to the point when you ask that how could he be total with this other girl, it is not that he's dropping. Your mind has so much of power to know everything. Is Gurudev is walking here, meeting everyone, you feel as if he's total. But when I used to be in Abu Dhabi, I have any problem, anything, before you pick up the phone, he picks up the phone, he's also addressing people, and he will answer like no.
And is meditation evolution? And if it is, what is evolving?
Beautiful. It's not like, I will not say that for normal people you will call it evolution, but I would say that we are going to the source. We as human being, we are all very sacred people, very very divine, in the sense that we are all loving. Our core of every human being is full of love, joy, peace, wisdom.
I've read about this in Kashmiri Shaivism, again, quoting from there, that Shiva is called Pashupati. Pashu is that being which is conditioned
Beautiful.
and who acts from impulses. If you're angry, you just say it out. So it's you're programmed your own mind over a period of time. You've coded your own mind with your own behavior lifetimes. Pashupati is that being which is beyond this.
Beautiful.
So going to Shiva is going beyond it. How do we go?
You have gone already, no? There's no set formula, and it also depends on the depth of conditioning that you have. But reading the books on such people, on such enlightened masters, and knowing about the life, the truth that they have spoken, definitely much more by the experiences of coming close to such personalities who have the truth. That is will resolve many of the conditionings, will dissolve many of them, and your own processes. The I feel the greater is the calling, automatically you draw such supports from the cosmos, which will come to you. And this is what exactly had happened to you. And only when you experience this by this person who could count your thoughts, you suddenly know that that knowledge is beyond what we are talking about.
I'm going to take this little opportunity and also share one story from my life. And that will also lead to a question. So, when I was 18, my parents have been active with Art of Living in Delhi. They were doing a lot of service. So when I was 18 and I was in Bangalore, they enrolled me into the Yes Plus back then. I joined, and I was lucky enough that I really love this guy. His name is Mahesh. I don't know where he is now. I think he was a teacher or he was a volunteer back then. And he's like, "You're so lucky because right after the happiness, you would get to meet Gurudev." So we all went, and we were sitting in the room. I think this is the inside of the ashram, which is not otherwise available to people who come. There's a wedding hall, I guess, and we were all sitting there after the kriya and everything. And Gurudev came, and there was like small plates in front of all the 18-year-olds, and he was keeping one laddu. So this is a real story. Uh, I looked at him, and he was wearing goggles, these big goggles. I judged him. I looked at him and I said, "Why does a saint need goggles? Like he's a saint. He's an enlightened being. He doesn't need goggles from sun." So he kept the laddu in the plate, and I looked at him. He smiled. I smiled, and he left. Then I don't know. After that, I always say that laddu that changed my life, because after that, from somewhere curiosity started coming, and I started questioning, and I went through many different schools. So I was there in Chennai for a while, Swami Vivekananda Ashram to ISKCON. I was there. Different schools I explored. 10 years, full round, and I came back to the Kriya a couple of years ago, and I started practicing regularly, and I started doing advance every 3 months. Last to last advance, I had this intense feeling that I want to meet him for some reason, and we are all taken to the wedding hall. For some reason, the coincidence was something I couldn't comprehend, because the line was exactly that way, and I was standing in the place, exactly in the place where I was sitting 10 years ago when I was 18. 28, I was 28. So he was coming just like he came 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, I had this overwhelming feeling that I want to hug him. But I don't know why that came, because I was judging, my mind was judging. This time also, he came with goggles. And I looked at him, and there was this thought in my mind, do you judge him now? It was a full circle, because I had seen the 700 free schools. I had seen what the miracles happened in my life. I had seen the things that unfolded. I had seen the power of the Kriya. I had seen the meditation. It was like, why did I even do that 10 years ago? Why did I judge him? But he came, and then I asked him a question, and he hugged. And I hugged, and that was the most beautiful moment of my life. But the question I want to ask you is, even though this is getting recorded and this is going out, anyone who's watching this would have the same thought I had 10 years ago. There's this lens of prejudice that it comes with, right? How do you deal with apprehensions? That was a very important question I had for you, because you're meeting out so many people.
I think that truth stands. We don't do anything about it because the conditioning of the mind is the only block to enlightenment, to anybody. To you, all of us are essentially enlightened beings. But because of our sanskaras and so much of conditioning over lifetimes, we think the reality should be like this. So, shoulds and should nots is the realm of this perception level, mind, intellect, memory, ego. They only create conditioning, they create particular kind of thoughts. And so when we allow them to experience something like I experienced, like no, when I did the course, nothing, no reading, no standards was close enough. Like my heart knew what is the ultimate, and I could drop anything for that because he had experienced it. And whatever comes and people say, oh, it should not be like that, this should not. The moment you come in presence of Gurudev, everything dissolves. And this wonderful feeling. So truth stands. This is what he says. Don't do anything. After 10 years, you came back. You will come back. It's only your own conditioning which held you. And this whole game of enlightenment, if you say that, is about uncovering the bliss. We say that layer by layer, the conditioning has to be removed. And that is why we take so much of time. All of us. All of us. So it's not you, it's everyone. So the master's job, you cannot do anything, I cannot do. Master's job through getting you through the experiences of life, through giving you experience of the meditative state, slowly, slowly he deletes these conditioning, and you can see that the self is beyond any of these personalities that you see. So, on one hand, buddhi guides you to be on the path. On the same time, the same judgment
Can
can
take
hinder
you
the
in there.
becoming truthful to life in your own experiences. The knowledge is already there with the life. You might have seen many very well dressed people, very looking very nice, but are they really that pure? If you have close interactions, you will see that a person sitting like no, he used to say that Vivekananda used to say एक रत्न जटित सिंहासन पर बैठा हुआ आदमी भी पूरा ही सन्यासी हो सकता है, लेकिन एक भिखारी है, वो एक लुटिया उसकी छीन लो उसके लिए वो कितना लड़ जाएगा, उसको एक लुटिया बचाने के लिए वो कितना लड़ जाएगा. सो हु इज डिस्पैशनेट?
Like King
Whole
Janaka
Janaka, yeah,
story.
yeah. So it is how and why people are doing what they are doing and what they are adorned with. This needs a fine judgment, and it comes only with time. In Sheikh's family, royal family, I will tell you one thing, like no, just to tell you what it is. Even for us, it's an eye opener. The Sheikha, the royal lady. And when I finished that course, there were 20 of them on the last day to serve you, like no, maids all properly dressed up to serve you. From that glitter and glamour, their shoes used to have diamonds fitted in it, like no, the most exquisite beauty, and what worldly wise, like no, what you can't have, like no, 20 of the motors, cars, and all that. And I can tell you the day I finished the course, I came back home. For some reason, I cried and cried and cried, and I said, "Thank you, God, for making me an aam admi, an ordinary person." That's all that I can sum it up with. The real joy, the real love, it's beyond all this. And those who have not tasted that freedom, that peace, you cannot blame. Even we were like that, right? Before tasting it. So it's nothing that they have to be brought to this experience. And then you can continue to do all that. It's not like it's prohibited. You can have all those comforts. But knowing what is important.
So one question I didn't want to leave because it was a very important question I felt was the question about meditation and its benefits for women who are going through postpartum depression.
Meditation is the best way to help ladies who cannot go for any rigorous exercises and kriya. Meditation, as I explained already, is getting you away from your these worries and emotions,
Hmm.
and which is what happens to the young mother.
Hmm.
And there are so many logical things that I'm not able to, I'm not so competent to do what I was doing or all those things.
Hmm.
So this removes the fear. It's just like you are pulled out of that state. And this relief, even if you are relieved of that for 20 minutes, 20 minutes, and I would suggest that if you really want to come out fast, like no, do it up to 3 times. There's something called Sahaj Samadhi meditation where you do nothing, just one or twice you have taken the mantra. It's ideal for ladies to be helped. And such remarkable progress comes like no, it's fine. It's a good example. Like my daughter, she was in Delhi, and that time something happened and she had sprained her back. She lifted a weight or something, and then so sometimes whenever you are in such a situation, like no, I Gurudev was in Singapore, was like no in some important meeting, but as a mother I could not hold because they said that just reach the hospital, I take the flight and come here. So the moment I picked up the phone, he says, bring him and show it to this doctor.
This is
He just
becoming a guru story. Yeah.
one sentence he only said, bring her to Bangalore and show him to this doctor. So, and then he kept the phone.
So we are coming up with a new segment on the show called Sasta Logic. Sasta logic is generally logic that you get to hear in society, which is passed on and is totally rubbish. So to cut that aside, we've come up with a concept of t-shirts where we cut the Sasta logic and we present new logic. So one thing that you hear a lot is meditation makes you a baba. So we would like to present you with this t-shirt. It's meditation makes you a baba, and below it's meditation makes you a baby again.
Very good.
So this is an attempt to cut through such nonsense, rubbish logic which is there in society. Meditation doesn't make you baba; it makes you into a baby state. It makes you innocent. It makes you beautiful. So to the listeners, this is a beautiful poem composed and written by Ma'am recently, and it was written during a period where I think you had a fracture.
Yeah.
And you had called Gurudev and you asked him what should I should do, and he said start writing.
So I wrote to him in Urdu some 8-10 years back, more than that. खुदा या फरिश्ता कहूँ क्या ज़माने, वो है कौन जिसको दिल कहता गुरु है। लिख सकूँ न बयां क्या उसकी है ताकत, रूह जाने इंसानियत की इंतहा वो है। काफिरों की दुनिया, आतताइयों का जंगल, वही ये ज़मीं लगती हमें क्यों जन्नत, कि चिरागी नज़र में समाया सा वो है। क्या हिंदू क्या मुस्लिम, क्या सिख क्या ईसाई, रूहानी रिवाजों का रहनुमा वो है। तड़पते उजड़ते मलालों के दिल पे सुकून मखमली सा लगाता जो वो है। लब से उसके अल्फाज अपनी जानिब जो आए, शुक्रगुजारी का सैलाब उमड़ता सा क्यों है। दीवानों से गुलजार महफिल में अपनी, हौसला और जुनून बन उफनता सा वो है। होठों ही होठों कह दे जो थोड़ी, हरकत में आए जहाँ बस वो यूं है। कुदरत का मानो करिश्मा सा है वो, इंसान या हाथी सब बनते साथी, चलता सारा कारवां उसकी जू है। वो क्या है कैसे बताऊं, मेहरबानी की चादर का आसमां ज्यों है। मोहब्बत की परवां काबिलियत की इंतहा, परख से है बाहर समझ से भी बाहर, फिर भी जर्रे जर्रे से जानूं, जर्रे जर्रे में शामिल, कुछ है ए गुरु तो बस तू ही तू है, बस तू ही तू है.
Bring this conversation to beautiful closure would be कहत कबीरा सुनो भाई साधु, कहत कबीरा सुनो भाई साधु, कंचन निपजत खान रे. Would you like to?
Elaborate?
Yeah.
I just said that.
Yeah, that's why I sang that.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for coming down. Thank you so much for this wonderful, amazing, peaceful, beautiful bliss of a podcast. It's been a very, very, very wonderful experience to have this podcast with you. And thank you so much.
And thank you so much for making me share certain things of my life, which is so precious to me.
Thank you.